Good evening from Southeast Asia. This will be podcast episode or volume number 15 of the Southeast Asia Chronicle podcast things. We got so many podcasts going, I can't remember which one's which. I hate the administrative side of this. I wish Lucy, the administrator, was back. From the dead. And she could just administer everything, and I could just talk and talk and talk and talk. Okay. All tapes are copyright 2023 by stockphotosworldwide.com. You can go there to find all of our original content. Aliens, the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything. Probing. You can go to theyclaim.com to just go for the aliens. You can go to the RSS feeds around the world for everything. Those are uncut. Those are uncensored. The RSS has not yet started to become anal retentive and woke and censoring shit to fit their own agendas. YouTube has. We only have a few things on YouTube. We hate them. God, we hate them. We hate them. I've told that story too many times. I don't know if we'll do anything more with YouTube or not. I just don't even know. I'm so tired of the censorship. We would never, ever, not in 10 billion trillion years, do anything with Facebook. YouTube, probably not. But anyway, it's around. It's out there in the world, in the ether. You can find all that stuff. Okay. In the last tape, 14. This is 15, 14. We talked a lot about girls and relationships in my early days in Thailand. And I did that so that you could imagine yourself going there, because those kinds of things are precisely what's going to happen to you if you're a guy. I've mentioned before, there's not much point in ladies going to Thailand. Other countries, yes. Oh, absolutely. Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, yes. Not Thailand. There's no point. I mean, yeah, you can go. You can see the sights. You can go to some temples, eat some food, go play with the monkeys, take pictures of some wild elephants and stuff like that. There's no more wild tigers. They ate all of them. There's drugged ones in the little mini zoos. That's not too much fun. You go to some beaches. Okay, it's worth doing, but no ladies are going to go to Thailand and live. Hardly any. I know. God, all the ones I know of over 10, 11 years, I can count them all on one baby hand, They just don't do it. Thailand is just not a good place for them. But all the other countries, every other country, yes, absolutely. Yes, you can. You'll love it. Okay. Now, I've gotten backlogged with all these questions that come in from previous episodes, and I got a huge, long list of them here. But I just sort of haven't addressed them, and now I'm just going to have to. I have a little addendum to just about the last story we covered in 14. Refresh your memory on that. I'll just sort of summarize it if you didn't listen to that one. These really should go in order. They really should go in order. Because they'll make a hell of a lot more sense if they just go in order sequentially. I talked about a girl who worked in a bar. Mom had worked in the bar. She grew up in the bar. Mom taught her the bar. She worked there a long time. She was pretty. She was a 10? Yeah, she was a 10. She had a lot of customers. 2, 3, even 4 a day. Big money. Stinking big money. Her price, as I recall, a lot of the girls would go for 1,000 baht. She was 2,500, and she could get it every time. Guys would just pay it. 2,500 baht. That's nothing to a guy coming there. Big vacation. That's nothing. He's never been with a girl like that in his life. Never will again. 2,500 baht. Let's see, how much is it? $75. So they just pay. Okay, so while she worked in the bar, she met a Falang, and her mother taught her really well how to take down this Falang. He was a big old fat engineer from the U.S. She was 33. He was 65. And he loved her, and he married her and built her a big custom sprawling home 60 or 80 miles north of where this bar was. Huge, almost a complex, like a movie star home. And he would come down whenever he could. Whenever he could get time off of work, he'd come down for a 3-month tourist visa. I don't know why he just didn't get a retirement visa. I don't know what the hell, but... And anyway, he would stay in the home that he built with his wife. And, of course, they slept together. Her brother stayed there. She was pretty good about not letting the rest of her family stay there. Just the brother, just that one brother. He was nice. The Falang got along with him really well. They were best buds. They just loved each other. They did everything. They went fishing. They went motorbiking. They went hiking. They went to the movies together. They were best buds. Barbecues, you know. The brother could speak passable English, and it was good life. And we all watched that unfold. And we all knew that when the Falang was due to show up, the brother had to move out of the woman's room, because that's where he slept, in the bed with the woman, because that was her husband. Except the Falang was her husband. Except the Thai guy was her husband. Wasn't her brother. Okay. So the husband would show up and, oh, honey, I missed you. Oh, God. Oh, and then when the Falang left, the Thai husband moved back into the bedroom, and, you know, okay. This kind of thing is so common, it's just stupid. It's stupidly common. It's not, you know, nobody made any issue out of it because half the other girls in the bar were doing the same kind of goddamn shit. Or if they didn't, they wanted to. Okay, so she was in the bar one night, and she had a new baby from somebody. Either from the Thai guy or from the Falang or from the pool man, or I don't know. She probably didn't know. Or maybe some customer in the bar. She still worked in the bar, not a lot, but she did just to get fucked, I think. She didn't need the money anymore. Falang was taking care of her. She just liked to be fucked by strange guys. Falangs, preferably. So she'd work in the bar like 1, maybe 2 days a week, something like that. And then she went home to her complex, you know. Anyway, so she had a baby. The baby was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months old, something like that, little baby. And she had him in the bar. And when she went with a customer, somebody else would hold the baby, and she'd be back in an hour, you know, like that. Okay. Are you listening to this? Because this is going to be your life if you go to that country. Well, it's going to be your life in any Southeast Asian country, but more so in Thailand, but pretty much also in any other Southeast Asian country. This is Southeast Asia. This is how it works. Listen, you know, imagine yourself in this situation, because if you go down there, you're going to be in this situation. Okay, so this girl's in the bar one night. She got her baby, and I was in there. I was sitting quite a ways away from her. I could see her across this little area. She was sitting at the bar. I was also at the bar, but in a whole different area. And I had family come to visit. And I took them to this bar for the first time to just show them. They wanted to know where you hang out. Well, this is where I hang out. And so they're walking around, and I got pretty special treatment in there. And the mama-san took one guy and was showing him around and like this and that. And And this guy saw this girl. I swear to God, his jaw dropped open. It's like, I didn't know there was girls like that in the world. Who wants a skank like Miss Universe? Oh, fuck that. No, 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 no. I want this one. This is the one. And he just went right over and sat by her. Nobody was sitting by her. He just sat down there talking. She had really good English. And that's usually a pretty accurate indicator of how many guys they fucked. They don't learn English that well in the universities. So if their English is abnormally good, that's where they got it. Okay. So he sat there for 7-8 minutes, I think. And I finally looked up. I saw him over there, and I said, no, don't be talking to that one. No, I'll tell you about her later. I didn't say that. I was too far away, but I was watching him, and I was thinking that. And she was feeding him some kind of bullshit. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the story was that she fed him. And he's looking at the baby and then playing with the baby, She's probably saying, oh, God, I'm hungry. The baby doesn't have milk. I don't know. Oh, God, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow because we don't have anything. Probably that was the story because she was that much of a master. And I finally got the idea. I better fucking get over there. I got to head this off. Whatever's going on, I got to head this shit off. I was not going to let him crawl off with her. And I got there, and just as I got there, he's given her this wad of money, American bills. I can't remember how much it was. It was 100 or 200 US, something like that. I can't remember. A lot of money for a Thai girl. A lot of money. That was 3 tricks probably right there. And he just flipped it to her and gave her a little pat and patted the baby and said, this is for the baby, now he can have food. And I was like 2 seconds too late to snatch it back from her, it went down her bra or some goddamn thing. I couldn't get at it. And I got him out of there, just got him out of there, quick as I could. And told him later what she was. So the point is, you go down there, you're going to be that family guy. And you're going to fall for that shit just like he did. Now, I had been working on him for years, telling him all these horror stories about Southeast Asia, Thailand. I had been prepping him because I knew he was coming. And I'm training him, trying to make him cranky, cynical. And that's how well it worked. He popped away $200-300 there in the space of, 8 minutes. Now, you guys listening, chances are very high you don't have anybody telling you this shit. You go to YouTube and you listen to the travel logs. Oh, Thailand is pretty, it's beautiful. Oh, okay, you're not getting the goddamn story on YouTube because YouTube censors every motherfucking thing. And they cannot tell you the truth on YouTube. All they can say is silly, frilly, fluffy shit. YouTube is nearly fucking worthless because of their censorship attitude. Facebook plowed the road. YouTube's driving on it. And I don't know what they're thinking. I did a whole podcast about YouTube. And this insanity of theirs, it's somewhere. Where is it? It's on the stockphotosworldwide.com. I'll make sure it's on this page if it isn't already. Anyway, on the Southeast Asia Chronicle page, I'll make sure it's on there. It probably is already. So he had been prepped. He had been advised and warned and trained, and he still did this to one of the skankiest females on the face of the earth. $200-300, gone. He could have just dropped it down the drain into the sewer. Would have gotten more enjoyment out of that. I would have. So if you're not trained, if you're not listening especially closely to these tapes, and you go down there and you don't have me sitting across the bar watching every move, you're going to get fucked over so bad you just can't even comprehend it. Because if that's you, this girl's going to take you home. Somewhere, not to her complex, but to some shitty little room she's got somewhere, some little fuck room. And she's going to confess that she had a husband, but he beat her and he tied her up and let the buffalo fuck her, like that. Oh, he's a bad, 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 bad man. Oh, God. And she'll cry. She'll fall into your arms when she's naked. And she'll just cry and cry and cry. And then while she's sobbing, she'll start dry humping you. And you're just in love. You never experienced anything like that in your life. And you're in love. You're in love. You would die. You would kill. You would kill the population of the earth for this girl. Because you must have her heart. If there's nobody there to, put the hook around your neck and drag you off that stage. I'm just going to keep harping on that all the way through it. And I know it's not working. I know when even if you believe all this shit and you get there, it's just going to go out the window. Gone. Because this one, you're a judge of human character. This one is okay. You know it. Stake your life on it. Well, you are staking your life on it because they kill a lot of guys in the rooms. They do. And even after they marry them, pretty often they kill them then because they're not getting as much of their bank account as they hoped. And so they just kill them. Go run up their ATM cards. Get into their bank account somehow. I had one do it. I had one try it. Well, she did. She got a lot of money. And we'll go through that one too. But anyway, so bad girl, bad story, bad relative. Okay, now what did he do? Did he learn? Okay, I'll tell you what happened to him. We went to another bar. God, it might have been the same night after I told her the truth. It might have been the same night. We went to another bar just 100 yards away. And that was a big, jumping, raucous bar full of bar girls. What else? And phalanx. Hot bar girls. And he has a certain look that he likes, and the girl that was the epitome of that vision was there. I mean, never met her before, but his dream came true right there in front of him. Couldn't believe it. 30 minutes later, he had a different dream, but now he's got this dream. Okay. And she was a bartender, and they got to talking. They'll just come over to you. Beware of the ones that come over to you. No, that's the biggest goddamn red flag. That's a red fucking flare. Shooting out of their ass. Multiple flares shooting out of their ass, and they come over and talk to you. Run. Just run. You're not believing me. I know it. I should do a guide service over there. I'd have to charge you so goddamn much because it would be so hard on me to watch you guys go through this shit. Maybe I'd do 10 grand for a week, keep you out of trouble. But still, even then, I wouldn't be able to keep you out of trouble because you would fire me and go with the girl anyway. Because we're guys and we can't fucking help it. Most girls in the world, they don't know how fucking stupid we are, but the bar girls know. And they use it. They can retire on it. Okay, so we're in this other bar, and I'm just looking around, not talking to anybody. And this girl came over, she's talking, and he's like, oh God, I'm sure glad you got me away from that other girl, because this one's even better. Oh, I never believed there could be another one half as good as that. Well, this one's even better, Okay, that was his attitude. I didn't know this girl at all. And that was still in my fairly early years, and so I still held out a teeniest little bit of hope. There might be a good one somewhere. Could be, Might win the lotto too. And a meteor might come down right through the roof right now. And it might go through the top of this computer. Okay. It could. How long do you want to wait? think I hear it coming. I hear it coming. Oh, no, fuck it, went over to the other house. She's talking, and pretty soon she gets him involved in a game of, what do they call them? Tequila shots. So the girls will set up this whole entire tray, like a big old cafeteria tray, with little ounce glasses of tequila. So I don't know how many's on there, like 50, I don't know. And if you want to see them get drunk and fall down and puke, you give them enough money to keep drinking these tequilas. And that's the deal. You give them what they ask, and they'll drink them until they fall down. And so he was playing that game with this girl, and she was drinking. Down, down, down. You know, the crowd is clapping and chanting. And you know, for me, probably about 6 or 7, you know, I'm down in the dirt with my tongue hanging out, ants crawling up there, you know. I'm drunk after 3, 6 or 7. I'm down, I'm out, down for the night, gone. She got up to like 25, and I, as I recall, you had to pay, depending on how many she could drink, you had to pay more. And so he's just paying, and she let him know, you know, she falls down, he's going to have to help her out because she didn't have any friends there. She's new, she doesn't know anybody. He's going to have to help her to her room, you know. And he's thinking, oh baby, I take care of you for your whole fucking life, you know. And oh, never mind. And so I got to be really careful what I say. And so finally, after, I don't know, I'm thinking 40 shots. She's not down. You know, she's acting a little bit like this, you know, drunken buffalo thing. And, but she's not down. And I don't know what happened to stop it. Somehow it got stopped. Maybe he got tired of paying, I'm not sure. Or maybe she just said, no, I can't drink anymore. So I don't know what happened, but it stopped. Okay. So she wanted to see him again. We stayed there for hours. And of course, she sobered up really, really quickly, you know, because it's water. It was just 7-Up, you know, of course. Welcome to Thailand. And they talked. And then she wanted to see him the next day. So he came back the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. And I don't know how many days he kept showing up there. And then she was all excited because her birthday was coming up just in a few days. And she's priming him for this, you know, like, oh baby, my new baby, my birthday's coming up and I want to do something really big, really big, really big. And I want it to be with you, you know. He hadn't gone with her or anything like that. She always had an excuse of why she couldn't go that night, you know, or whatever. And he wouldn't pay for girls. He strictly, positively would not pay for a girl ever, wouldn't give him $1. So if she would have said, hey, oh, you want me, we can go, you know, 1,000 baht, 1,500 baht, you know, that would have been the end of it. I think she sensed that. Or maybe he told her that. He was pretty blunt about just telling him, you know, he asked me for $1, we're done. Or a baht. And anyway, so he's pretty excited. She wanted to spend her birthday with him. Big day. Big fucking day. So night before, he's all ready and he's prepping, you know. And that next morning, he showered probably 3 times and like he got a haircut, stuff like that. And at the appointed time, whatever it was, 3 in the afternoon, something like that, we both went to pick her up. And walked in. She wasn't there. Figured she's in the bathroom. And she didn't come out. We waited and waited. Finally, he asked one of the other barmaids, you know where so-and-so is. And she just, as she's walking by, she says, oh, she have customer today. And that broke him. That fixed him for Thai girls forever and ever. Because he's smarter than the average bear. And most of the people going there are not. They're as smart as the average bear dung. There's an awful lot of guys who would have said, oh, okay, and they would come back the next day. You know, give her another shot at fleecing them, you know. Oh, God, there's a lot of guys. What percentage of guys? 50%? 60%? Really? I'm serious. Okay, so now we got to go through some of these notes because they're getting just too long. I'm going to keep asking this as we go through. This note says, are we really escaping the matrix at all by moving there? You know, well, you're escaping one matrix, that's for damn sure. In the Western countries, they're a shameless matrix. They're Jesus. So you are escaping those, yeah. You're going to get out of that matrix. Are you going to another matrix? Well, yes and no. The thing about Southeast Asia is that not all of it is a matrix. Western countries, you know, that's up around 98% is fake matrix shit. It's hard to find anything in any Western country. In Southeast Asia, you do find an awful lot of reality. They're probably more like 35% matrix. So yeah, you're going to get out of the matrix. You're going to get into a place that's less of a matrix. But you still got this kind of crap. I keep telling people, I say this over and over and over. Before you go, 6 months before you go to the doctor, you start getting some kind of chemical castration injections. Something that kills that testosterone. And by 6 months later, your libido ought to be gone. And then you go to Thailand. And then you're going to have a happy life. Happy life. The complication, irritation, annoyance factor is going to go down by 85%. You're going to go around, you're going to sightsee, you're going to eat delicious food, go to the hospital afterwards, you know. You're going to travel, cost of living is going to be cheap. Just get castrated. I don't know anything about chemical castration. I know the Swedes and the Scandinavians tried it for their pedophiles for a long time, and that was a long time ago. They said it didn't work to stop the pedophiles. I don't know if it was reversible ever. I don't know anything about it, but if it's reversible, you know, then that's fine. Then have that done before you go. Probably 4, 5, 6 months before you go, get it done. Whatever they're going to do, I don't know what it is. And you go to Thailand, you have a great time. And then when you go back, then you get it undone, I guess. Or if you stay in Thailand, you don't ever get it undone. And your life is going to be hunky-dory peachy keen. I'm in Manila right now. I had a girlfriend for a while. Well, I had a few of them. The one I had for the longest time, I threw out the window, you know. God, she was annoying. Good girl. God, she was a good girl. Good girl. Good girl. In every way, except she was just annoying. She ruined every single appliance I had in the condo. Every single one, because she had never seen them before. She didn't know what to do with them. Every single appliance, I had to replace every single appliance. Even the toaster, even the countertop cooker thing. The rice cooker, I had to buy a new one. Every appliance. She would take a shower. In the freezing cold water, because she'd never seen a hot shower before. She didn't know that you could flip this little switch and have hot water. You know, it was just like that. Well, okay, so some of that stuff, you know, maybe that's cute. You know, you teach them stuff, I guess. But she wouldn't clean up after herself, and she wouldn't just clean up anything at all. She just wouldn't clean up anything at all. She always had her friends over here spending the night, you know. So I'm in there trying to sleep, and they're out here cackling. Bunch of Filipino girls. They try to be quiet, but the Filipinos can't. You know, that's not in their genes. You go to a place like Singapore, a few other places, you go on public transportation, there's going to be signs on the inside of the buses and the cars and stuff. And they're going to be in Tagalog only. And they're going to say something like, please keep your voices down. Please respect your neighbors because this society is quiet, you know, or something like that. The variations of that. It's only in Tagalog. It's only in Filipino. So anyway, she out the window. Now, when I dumped her, I did it politely, you know. I had bought her a bunch of shit, and I packed up all the stuff I had bought her, and you know, took her to her work. Sent her a text, you know. It's polite, right? And that ticked her off. She went around and told everybody who would listen that I was gay. Because if I wasn't gay, I couldn't possibly have kicked her out, you know, little princess syndrome. So anyway, that's life in Southeast Asia. All the countries, you know, subtle differences between them, but they're all whacked. Okay, so are you escaping the matrix? Yeah, yes and no. You are to a large degree, but okay. And then I still got that note there. It says, somebody wrote in, they just had one word. It says driving, and I'm trying to think of what I'm missing there. And then another one here, I think I covered this. It says, why would anyone like Cambodia? Well, I worked for a long, long time, years, for a ranch. They had 1,100 sections of land. I had a lot of cattle out there. A section of land is 640 acres, so they had 1,100 square miles of grazing, and they're not another home on it. It's all just high desert scrub, and they were getting hit pretty hard by rustlers, and they hired me to be rustler patrol because I lived exactly on the other side of their range from the ranch headquarters. So they hired me to do rustler patrol, I had a couple of good horses, but if I wore them out, I could use any of theirs. They rode only Mustangs. These were tough guys. Jesus Christ, they were tough guys. I cowboyed around with them for a while, and I couldn't even begin to keep up. Holy Jesus. They would take off from their ranch headquarters, and they would ride 100 miles as a group to get to the starting point for the 100-mile race. And that's all yuppie horses, you know, shit like that. Oh, they're very color coordinated and pastel colored, you know. Little pink saddles and shit like that. These guys rode 100 fucking miles from the ranch to the starting point of that race, and they'd ride the race and they'd fucking win, and then they'd ride 100 miles home. Okay, tough. Fucking salt of the earth. Jesus, goddamn Christ. Anyway, so I rode rustler patrol for them for some years. And if I saw somebody out on the range and they parked out there, they got a cattle truck, they got a horse trailer, and they stop in the middle of nowhere and they get out and they're looking around, looking for our cows, and they'd see them, and then they'd walk over and they'd flank them, and they very slowly, you know, just start moving them toward the open doors of their stock trailer, you know, shit like that. And I'd be 300-400 yards away on a little ridge somewhere, and they'd hear a clink, psss. And then just a couple of seconds later, they'd hear the pop from the gun, from the rifle, and I'd take their tires or their engine. The owner of the ranch wanted me to shoot them, they said he had many, many times. And some of the ranch hands showed me little mounds where he claimed to have buried him. We never dug him up, never told anybody. He wanted me to do that. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go to prison. Maybe they deserve it, but I'm not going to prison. Oh, we'll protect you. Oh, I don't think so. Old Jesus Christ. Anyway, the point is that I don't have a problem with rough life like that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it really quite a lot. So Cambodia is a rough life. And if you have a problem with a robber in Cambodia, you can take care of it. Thailand, you can't. Thailand, if somebody robs you and you hurt them, you're going to jail. You're going to get deported. In Cambodia, you can take care of yourself. And a couple other countries you can too. Cambodia more so than any other. They have a little bit of a code of decency, So I respect that. And Cambodia's okay. I could easily end up back there. I'm not sure. So anyway, why would anyone like Cambodia? Well, that's why. Okay. Okay. Oh, here's one. Somebody wants to know about what it's like driving around Thailand. Okay. Well, I told you many times it's the #1 most dangerous, deadly country in the world, period. Statistically, it is. Documentably. And I have crisscrossed the country, east and west, top to bottom. I don't know how many times, can't count. On every kind of motorcycle, big and small, every kind of car. In the early days, I'd see the posted speed limit, but I go pretty much that speed limit. If it said 90 kilometers, I do 105. Figure the ticket's not going to be that big. And a lot of these stretches, they just go for fucking ever. Like out in the Isan, it's a pool table. It's just a flat pool table. They just go forever, straight lines, just straight line roads forever and ever, and they're flat and straight. And you're going to piss along at 100 kilometers? How many miles an hour is that? I think 100 kilometers an hour would be like 70 miles an hour or something like that. You're going to do that forever? No, no, you go crazy. So I had, I had one motorcycle. It wasn't much of a motorcycle, but it would do 150 miles an hour. And I would just peg it. I just peg it at 150. Lock the throttle wide open and just do 150 all the way across. Okay. And for the first few trips, I was careful. And then I was getting a little faster, because you won't see cops in patrol cars. Or if you do see them, you're not going to recognize them. But mostly they get you with cameras or they get you with roadblocks. They don't follow you around and hit the lights and pull you over. It can happen, and they do it very occasionally, but not like America. Jesus, goddamn Christ. I don't think there's anybody left in America who hasn't been pulled over 23 times by cops in cars. I mean, people are being raped and killed, and they got to do that for 7 over, really? And then they'll threaten to shoot you. Okay, well, anyway, I finally made one trip way up north, kind of like from the south to the north. And I was bored, and I hadn't gotten any tickets before, and I was starting to think, well, shit, I don't know, I don't see any cops. I'm going to go a little faster. And I did. I drove all the way up at whatever speed, kind of fast, and spent a few weeks up there. I got done, came back, and didn't think anything about it. I'm lucky I didn't get any tickets, And then it was like a month or 2 later, they started coming in the mail. They got me on cameras. And I was doing fast. If it was posted 90 kph, I was probably doing 140. Okay. So that's a little bit over. And I thought, oh fuck, Jesus Christ. 3 of them came in one day. And I thought, oh God, this is fucked up. And I opened them and was looking at them, and they're all in Thai. It's hard to figure out what's what. I did figure out how much over I was going and shit like that. Looking around, trying to read the chicken scratch. Thai, their alphabet is like, if you ever see a chicken walking through the mud, or 10 chickens walking through the mud, that's a Thai alphabet. You're not going to figure it out. They have 44 characters, and I think they have 48 or something like that. They don't even use like the last four. So I finally got down to the bottom looking for, okay, how much is this ticket? How much is this ticket? And one of them I remember for doing 140 or 145 in a 90, it was like $9. I thought, what? Oh, no. That must be like the tax on the fine or something like that. And the next one was about the same, like one was 11. Anyway, the whole bunch finally showed up. The entire ticket load for that entire trip was $32 or $36. And of course, that was just letting the genie out of the bag. They should have never done that to me. They would have been much better off to never tell me how much it's going to be, because I would have stayed down around 110. Once they did that, then, genie's out of the bottle. And after that, I did what an awful lot of guys finally end up doing. You just drive as fast as you want to drive. And if you get some tickets in the mail, well, what the fuck ever, you saved a day getting to your destination. So if you can do 200, you just do 200. I mean, the roads won't support it, but it's dangerous to be going that fast on American roads. It's almost suicidal to be going that fast on those roads, because there's no really controlled access freeways. There's a couple that are kind of sort of a little bit, but no, they still got dirt roads coming out to them, and you'll still be hauling down there at 165 miles an hour. And up ahead, you see some dork head in a goddamn tuk-tuk, and he just comes barreling down some dirt road right onto the freeway. Doesn't look, never looks. And hopefully you're not going to be able to slow down in time. You could just swerve over and get around him. But so it's really dangerous. And dogs, there's dogs everywhere. It's lousy with dogs. You're going to hit a dog. You hit a dog on a motorbike at 160. You need to have some really good anti-skid gear. You'd probably survive if you had really good gear. But if you don't, it's going to grind every inch of skin off your body. You're going to look like a skinned chicken. So anyway, that's what it's like driving in Thailand. It's really dangerous. The people they're somewhat rude, but they're just stupid. I went through one stretch. I was going from Western Thailand over by Myanmar. I was going all the way into Isan it was a pretty good bike. It was a sport bike. And I went through this long section of highway where it was raining lightly, and they had sanded the roads, so there was a little film of sand on the road. So it was pretty bad, slippery shit. And it was narrow two lanes, and you're on the left side, of course. And for this long stretch, probably 60 or 80 miles, for whatever reason, I never figured this out, the opposing traffic was kind of clogged up with trucks and things. And so there was a lot of passing. And the people coming at you would not look to see if there's anybody coming at all. They would not look. They would just jerk it out into the oncoming traffic and try to pass the truck or whatever. It was the craziest fucking thing. There's nothing you can do. There's no way you can stop fast enough. You just got to get over onto the shoulder at 100 miles an hour, And they're just barreling right on by you. They won't get over at all to help you, so you're going in the dirt. And I got to the point for that whole stretch, the whole 60 or 80 miles, where every time I saw them doing this, I would get over far enough so that they weren't going to hit me, but only by inches. And then I would just hold my hand up like that so they could see me. You want to stop and come back and fight, motherfucker? Come on. I did that probably, I don't know, 30, 40 times in that stretch. Just hold it out in front of me, you know, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, like that. And they saw me. They don't care. Nobody wanted me bad enough to come and fight. Probably couldn't have caught me anyway, but everybody has a wreck in Thailand. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Especially if you're on a motorbike, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. I can't even count the number of people who got really screwed up being hit on motorbikes all across Thailand. Now, I rode there for 10 years. I don't even know how many miles I had probably had 14 or 15 motorbikes in that time. I never put less than 10,000 miles on them, on each one. And I just bought them all the time because I liked them. I like to have different colors, and I like to have different, try this one and try that one, and slow ones and fast ones and whatever. So 150,000 miles maybe in the 10 years. I rode all day, every day, all day, every day. Had many, 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 many close calls that I survived by dumb luck. Probably a lot of stuff I survived just from skill, because I was good, you know. I was a good rider. I came from Hayabusas in the USA, doing, you know, over 200 miles an hour, and I was careful, and I had driven truck. I had been a semi-tractor trailer instructor for a long time and an examiner for a long time. I knew what people were probably going to do, and I was pretty good. But I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're Jesus or Buddha. Being good in that kind of an environment is not going to keep you alive. If you want to stay alive, you're going to pray for luck, because luck's the only thing that's going to keep you alive. Being good, skillful, will keep you alive a little longer, but you know, eventually I would have got hit, maimed, maybe killed. Eventually it would have happened. There's no question it would have happened sooner or later. It had to. It's just the odds. You know, it's just going to get you. If you're going to go there, if you're going to do any driving, whether you rent or buy, get the biggest SUV you can that you can afford. Only SUVs, big ones, big old Toyota, whatever. And that's going to give you the most amount of safety you can get. You're better off to fly to wherever you want to go, take a train to wherever you want to go, even a bus. They got some buses to kill for. They have stewardesses on the buses, in uniforms, on the top end buses. And by Thai standards, they're super expensive. By our standards, they're pennies. And they're nice. That seats are, oh my God. And you can order food and they'll bring it to you, stuff like that. Drinks, TVs. So take one of the high-end buses. Not that many of them in Thailand, but you know, there's enough. You reserve a seat beforehand. They're usually not too crowded because they're considered too expensive. Each one will have 2 or 3 stewardesses. What's the modern term for that? Flight crew. You know, I guess flight crew. I don't. In fact, one of them even has the word air in its company name. So take a bus, take a train, take a plane. When you get to where you're going, then you rent the biggest SUV you can get. Reserve it in advance because they're in high demand. They're going to be a little bit expensive because a car costs what a car costs, regardless of what country you're in. Sometimes you get way up in the north of Chiang Rai, up in there, and it'll get a little nippy sometimes. Maybe 1 or 2 times for a winter, you actually get frost for, like 20, 30 minutes. I mean, that's nippy. Don't be surprised when your windows are all fogged up and you go to hit the defrost and it doesn't get warm. And the windows won't defrost, and you think, wait, oh God, fuck, it's a brand new goddamn rental car. It's broken. How do you turn the heat up? Oh, you can't. There's no heater. There's no heater in any car in Thailand. It's not installed. It's not like they don't have the controls. The heater itself is not installed in the car. They don't have one. No home has a heater. So that has been a problem, quite a few times for me. Gas is, fairly cheap. They got a whole bunch of grades of gas. It was always confusing to me as to which one I should have for which vehicle. And they pump it for you. All the place, like Oregon used to be. Pump it for you. I don't know why. Well, because I do know why. Because labor is just stupid cheap, and they don't want people pumping and then pump and run. That would be just rampant if they let you pump your own gas. So traveling is okay. The traffic is going to be insane. Just insane. Obstacles everywhere. You're going to stop at big old truck stop kinds of places. Get your gas, and then you go park, and then you go to the bathroom, and then you want to go relax for a while and eat, Well, you're not going to find Denny's or any kind of place you're used to. It's going to be weird Thai restaurants that are going to give you rice and hot dogs, That's pretty much it. Pretty much it, really. The rest stops, the places like that, the truck stop kind of places, are not comfortable at all. The Thais think they are, and it's always going to be a little dirty and dingy, and nothing's going to be constructed properly. And there's almost always a 7-Eleven. You go to 7-Eleven, get some horrible shriveled old hot dog that's been on the grill for 8 or 9 hours. So that's what driving is like. Road rage is rare, except with the Phalangs. Phalangs road rage wherever they go. They bring it with them. Almost always the Brits. I would say, okay. I know. The vast majority of trouble I ever had in traffic was with a Phalang. And in those cases where I could identify where they were from, it was, God, almost always a Brit. Almost always. Jesus Christ. Oy. Okay, so driving, let's just take that off of there because we've covered that enough. I think we hit on it one time before. Okay, cross-country trips, getting gas, covered that. Okay, people want to know more about the various nationalities you're going to find there. I told you in the beginning that the first thing you're going to notice are the Brits. They're going to be the loudest. And there's a lot of them. Good God, there's a lot of them there. There's a lot of, the second most prevalent nationality is probably the Russians. And there's a shitload of Russians. You're going to see freeway signs in Russian, even if they're not in English. So the Russian presence there is huge. Now the Russians, I never had one positive experience with a single Russian there. I did have a few positive experiences with the Brits. Some of them were damned nice. Good friends. Not very many. Easily count on one hand. If I was missing 2 fingers, I could count on one hand the positive experiences I had with Brits. Hundreds of bad experiences with them. The Russians, I never had a good experience with a single one. No, that's not true. That's not true. I did have one. He came and bought a motorbike and a computer. Nice guy. What was that cartoon series? Terrible Me or Despicable Me. Yeah, you remember that guy in Despicable Me? I'm pretty sure that was the title of it. Okay, this guy was that guy. He was exactly that guy in every possible way. Came with his wife, and while we were doing the forms and filling stuff out and making photocopies, she wandered around, looked at my photographic equipment, and stole about a $1,300 lens. And a positive, there's no question about it. I don't think he ever knew it. She was that was his Thai wife. I don't think he ever knew it. And I didn't have her on video. I had everything except her on video. Because I was moving and I had taken my cameras down. And she got that lens. Into her purse, gone out the door. So I did. I'm not holding that against this guy. Maybe poor choice in women, but my girlfriend saw through her instinctively, hated her within 15 seconds, hated her vehemently, violently, and was just screechingly rude to her. I couldn't see it because, the cultures are that much different. You cannot see evil except after a long, long time. And they can't see it in us either. That's why they keep getting screwed over by fillings. Anyway, the girlfriend ended up with just this running, screeching fight with this woman. And I'm thinking, God, she's going to fuck this deal, because it was going to be like a $3,500 computer and about a $4,000 motorbike. And my flight was coming up. I needed to get them gone and I didn't want to blow that deal. And, but God, that girlfriend she couldn't help it. She hated this woman that much. She saw through the woman and I didn't. Anyway, so one good experience. I don't know anybody. For the whole decade I was there, I don't know one single person who had a single positive experience with a single Russian. And I know lots of guys who tried. Lots of guys would bring them in and help them. They always need money. They can barely get there. And they can only get there when the Russian economy is up. If the Russian economy collapses while they're there, they're fucked. They can't get home. They're there on shoestrings and pennies. So I got to the point anyway where no Russian was allowed in my complex. I didn't know that guy was Russian until he got in, but they walk around in little groups and they'll start fights. They go into bars, start fights. They are just ignorant pit bulls. Now, I just came from that region last winter. Ukraine, Romania, the whole Eastern Bloc. I dealt with lots and lots of Russians and Ukrainians. I didn't understand either language. Now, the Russians are all mixed in with the Ukrainians in Ukraine. It's an uncomfortable situation. I didn't understand either language, and of course they look the same. And so I would meet all these people. I was working in an orphanage, charity kind of a thing. I had a steady stream of people coming through. And about half of them, I would just instinctively hate their guts. Because of the way they acted or the things that they said after somebody translated. Hated them. And the other half, I liked them really quite a lot. Hard-working, down-to-earth, friendly people. Okay. The ones I hated, it came to be, I didn't know it, at the moment I hated them, they were Russians. And the ones I liked were Ukrainians. They are different people. They're different people. So you got a lot of Russians in Thailand. I didn't see many in other countries. I don't see really hardly any at all in Philippines or Vietnam, or a few in Cambodia, not too many. Very, very. They like Thailand for some reason. They've got a foothold there somehow. Well, they must, because the Thai government has given them, freeway signs in their language. So they got something going on there that I'm not aware of. But nobody will ever invite them over to do anything. Nobody will intermingle with them at all. You walk around some of the sites and there's 4 or 5 of those guys and they're all drunk and they're all loud and they'll smash into you as they're walking You're alone with a girlfriend, they'll smash into you. They'll lurch over and hit you like that, try to knock you down. And they'll just laugh and laugh and laugh. Well, what are you going to do? You can't carry any kind of weapon in Thailand. You're going to fight 5 of them? No, you're going to give them a hard look and keep looking at them till they're out of sight. And that's all you can do. That's all there is. So, fuck the Russians. Next group probably is going to be the East Indians. I think I heard people complain about the East Indians more than they complained about any other group, any other nationality. Everybody complains about the East Indians. Everybody hates them. And I do not know why. All my life I have liked East Indians. I do. Not a single East Indian has ever done anything bad to me. They can, yeah, they can be pretty scammy people. I wish they would take more showers, If you ask them, really, why can't you take a shower? God, you can use mine. Come on. Like that, you're like that. Because they stink so bad. Really like a dead, rotting goat. Really. And they'll say, well, in India, we don't have enough water. I say, you're not in fucking India, are you? We got plenty of water. Just turn on that shower. Oh, no, because it's my custom. We don't take a lot of showers. Well, I don't care about your fucking custom. You're stinking. People can't even sit next to you on the couch. We don't even want you on the couch. God, I love you, but you're like that. It's that bad. So that's the only complaint I've got about East Indians. My landlady here in Manila is East Indian. God, I love her. I do. She's great. She's been great to me. Well, pretty much. She's a teensy little bit scammy, but nothing like the Thais, It's mostly East Indian guys. Virtually hardly any East Indian women. Sometimes they come with their wife or their girlfriend, but mostly it's guys. Because India's not very far, it's just a hop over the Indian Ocean. I don't know what it is. It's only 3 or 4 hours, I think, depending on what part you're going to. So I don't know. That's a kind of a dichotomy to me. I don't know why everybody hates them. Really don't. I can't remember anybody ever articulating a logical reason for hating him except for the smell. I ate a lot of East Indian food while I was there. Love it. People were nice. I don't know what the hell's going on with the East Indians. I could live. Well, I don't know if I could live in India because that's never tried it, but I certainly developed no animosity whatsoever towards East Indians all the time I was there, and everybody else does. So you figure it out. I don't know why. Go Google it. Why do people hate East Indians? I don't know. I never Googled it. I didn't care. But okay, next group. Next group, Germans. The next smallest number of nationality there is Germans. The Germans are. I don't know about Germans in Germany. My wife was German. But shit, you can't judge what you think about a nationality just because your wife came from there. All of her relatives were German. She was first class, as good as they could ever possibly come. And I'm not saying that just because she's gone. I'm saying it because it was true, and I thought that every day, and I didn't tell her enough. That's a fucking mistake. Tell them. You think that about somebody, you fucking tell them. Tell them today, this hour. And you don't stop telling them, because there's a real shortage of decent people in this world. I do know that by far, the biggest nationality that takes ladyboys is German. By far, by a huge margin. And gays, and the young gay Thai guys. They had a beach not far from there. It's kind of like the German beach. And then the fat old Germans would sit there, the old walruses, they would sit there in their lawn chairs. And the young gay Thai guys all knew that that's where they're going to get their food. So they swarmed around these guys. They'd sit on their laps, kiss them all there in front of all the tourists. They just kissing, tongue kissing with these fat old German guys. The guys are 16, 15, 16. They're in bikinis, the guys, with little tops, all tanned and thin, and the Germans are just fondling them, and they'll have sex sometimes there in the lounges, everybody walking by. That cost me a lot of respect for them. I had one landlord who was German. He was a nice guy. Liked him a lot. We went around, we did everything together. He had gotten in a little motorcycle accident due to a low tire. He'd rented a motorbike, tire was low, slipped on some gravel, went down, fucked him up pretty bad. He ended up in the hospital. They did an operation down in Phuket and fixed him up pretty well. Fixed him up. Cost him an arm and a leg. He didn't have any insurance, so he's making payments on that probably to this day. But I fixed him up okay, sent him home. A couple of weeks later, he was just getting kind of ambulatory, around a little bit. And his daughter, I guess, came running over to my place. I lived right next door to him. And she came running over and said, "Oh, God, he's really sick. He's dying. I think he's dying right now in the bed. You got to come quick." I don't know if they knew. I had EMT training. I was for a smoke jumper squad, forest firefighters. And I didn't get to practice it hardly at all. I wanted to really bad. I wanted to do some little operations out there in the woods, that'd be fun. But I never got to do any shit like that. But I had the training anyway. But that was like 5 lifetimes ago, and I don't remember anything, Tourniquet. Let's see. Where's that tourniquet go? Oh, yeah, it goes there, right? That's all I could remember. Anyways, I guess they knew about that. I might have mentioned or something. So they came running over. Come quick. He's dying. He's dying. He's dying in the bed right now. So I ran over there. He's laying in the bed on his back. And they threw open the covers, threw off the covers. And he's got the stitch line across his belly. Big fucking, I don't know, like 5 feet long. He's a biggish guy. And it had split open for 10, 12 inches, for probably half of its length. But there wasn't any blood. What's going on? Your fucking guts are hanging open there and there's no blood. What is it? Well, he had gotten an infection. And when I looked at it, within 3 or 4 seconds, I knew exactly what it was. I couldn't remember the name, but I knew exactly what it was. And I have no clue how I would have known that, because EMT training did not include anything like that. Our stuff was first aid stuff. We never covered anything about infections that are going to happen after the fact, fucking 3 weeks later. We positively did not cover that. I had never seen this condition in my life. Never heard of it. And I said, well, he's got this, we got to call the ambulance. I'm like, well, he's got to go to the hospital, that's for damn sure, but he doesn't necessarily need an ambulance. We can take him in the car. He's not going to die at this minute. He's not going to die in the next hour. He's got an infection, and it had created gallons and gallons and gallons of pus, white, yellow pus. He was terrified. It had covered the entire bed. The bed was a lake of pus. It had soaked into the mattress as far as it could. The mattress was saturated, and then just built up like a lake around his ass. So his ass is the heaviest part, and it's pushing the bed down in the middle. And he's got a lake of pus. A lake. I mean, a duck could swim in it. That's how fucking bad it was. I know it's disgusting. Well, suck it up. You're an adult. I hope. And it looked really bad. I mean, it looked to him and to them like, oh God, these are my guts. God, I got 2 or 3 breaths left. That's it. I'm going. Oh God, oh St. Peter, I see, I'm coming now. No. So anyway, we got him up out of there. They got all the towels they could get, and we wrapped him up. And every time he moved, it's glug, glug, another pint of pus. Jesus fucking Christ. It was pretty nasty. It was bad. But I had worked on horses, for many, many years, and I saw all kinds of horrible shit on horses and cows. And, this was about like that. This was like a cow that had died, let's say 10 days earlier, and the guts were putrefying, and they'd split open in the in the sun. And they're all just look. Like the bog of eternal stench, or was that green shit in Ghostbusters? And it was a little bit greenish too. So anyway, we bundled him up and took a bunch of blankets and shit and put him in the back seat so he wouldn't ruin the back seat of his brand new SUV. And we laid him back there, took him to the hospital, and they said, "Oh yeah, you ain't leaving today." They cleaned him all up, and they got like some kind of a car wash nozzle thing, and they hosed out the inside of his gut. It's an infection that happens to the lining of the guts, essentially. And there's a really clear name for it. What the hell is it called? You can Google it. And so the pus just builds up and builds up around that lining, mostly I think between that lining and the skin. And he was fat, and so he probably didn't notice it for a few days. So we got him in, and they cleaned him up, hosed him out, and they stitched up about half of that. They left an opening pretty big, 6 or 7 inches. They just left that open, and they started a bunch of drips and antibiotics, IV, really nasty antibiotics. Because this was getting to the point, he had had it for a while, obviously, to build up that much pus. So this is something you got to get on top of, I mean, taking an extra 15 minutes to get to the hospital, that's not going to cost him his life. But, and he had no insurance. He, didn't want to pay for the ambulance anyway. But really, within an hour or two of getting there, you needed to get that shit going into the veins. And they did. This was a really good hospital, same hospital that I had been to 10 times in 1 year. He was in there 4 or 5 days, something like that. Just getting bored. And anyway, every single day, in the beginning, I think probably a couple of times a day, they would come in, and his gut was still open, let's see, 7 inches, at least 7 inches. And they'd put the gloves on, and they'd reach out, put the whole hand in there, halfway up to their elbow, mostly up to their elbow, really, inside his guts. It was unnerving to see, but nothing you wouldn't see doctor and a horse, And we would joke while they're doing this shit, and he didn't think that was all that funny. He still thought he was going to die. He was older. He was 65, probably. So every day they had to clean this out, at least once a day, probably twice a day. And they would do that, and once they had manually scooped out all the pus with their hands, and they would get a shocking amount. I'm thinking in the early days, of course, his body is still producing pus. He's on the abs, but the abs don't really start reversing this shit for 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days, it's like stopped, and then 3, 4, 5 days, it starts to reverse. Okay. In the meantime, the body's still producing that pus, and he was, Jesus Christ, he was producing it. I'm thinking they got, I don't know, it looked like a lot. I want to say half a gallon of pus out of there every day. Every day I saw it. Half a gallon, I think. Maybe it was less. Maybe it was a pint and a half. Or, maybe a pint and a half. Or, no, it would have been a quart. and a half, maybe. No less than that. No less than that. So after about 5 days, whatever, they let him go home. And then he had to go back every single day to get this cleaned out. And he did that for like a week. And every couple of days, they would take a couple of more stitches and start to close up that big fucking shark mouth hole in his gut. Jesus Christ. And they were trying to close it up, because as they scraped out the pus, the inside of the skin would start reattaching to things, and because it was healthy tissue now, and it would start forcing out. It would make a smaller and smaller cavity for the pus to be in, so they'd get less and less pus, and the cavity would get smaller and smaller, but they never would sew up the hole to the point where you couldn't get a small hand in there. And he did that for quite a while. And they raped him. They charged him a shitload of money to do that every day. Every day. They switched him over to oral abs. Really strong ones. Made him really, really sick. And he couldn't stop. He'd just lay there and puke from the abs. Not the infection, from the abs. And he couldn't stop them. It was horrible to watch. And then finally he found a Filipino nurse a guy who would come over to his house and do that every day. So they set up a little kind of a medical station in his bedroom, and this guy would come in and expertly, really fine work, clean him out every day. And every day I got smaller. And after about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks maybe, they finished, they sewed him out completely. And then they watched him really closely. He had to come in every day, or somebody came to him every day to check it, see if he's producing any more pus in there. And once or twice he did. He started to produce more pus. The infection kept trying to come back. And they'd hit him with more abs, and it would go away. And he fought that for probably a month overall. And then finally it stopped coming back. And the sutures were healing, and they finally came out, and he was okay. Now, the reason I tell you this long, convoluted story is that I have another story about this exact same condition, and I'm going to tell that somewhat later. Maybe a pod or two down the road, I'm not sure. That's going to be a longer story. Exact same condition, because in Thailand this is a common condition. Maybe they don't autoclave things all that well. Maybe the gloves, maybe they really don't understand sterile procedures all that well. I don't know. But it's fairly common. I heard of it quite a bit. God, I can't remember the name of it. Google it. Infection of the lining between the abdomen and the lower belly or something like that. You'll come up with the name of it. It's a simple name. And they'll tell you exactly what I just told you. I always thought it was so strange that I recognized that. I knew instantly what that was. 3 or 4 seconds I knew, oh, it's this. I don't know where I'm positive I wasn't trained at an EMT school. Positive. There was no reason for him to. I don't know. I don't know. Whether or not I knew, it didn't have any bearing on whether or not it saved his life. He was going to go by ambulance, If I didn't know anything, he was going to go by ambulance. But maybe I was able to take a little bit of stress off him. I don't know. Anyway, so I stayed there another year. I was there like 2 or 3 years in his house. We get along great. We went out to dinners, played with his kid. I was big into Oculus VR. We had several sets. Had a girlfriend, and a kid would just come home every day till the batteries were dead. He had a daughter who was adult, half Thai, half German, and spoiled brat. Sorry, she was a spoiled brat. Spoiled brat. Spoiled brat. She was well under 20s, I believe. Mid-20s, probably. Anyway, so I didn't have much to do with her. She had a dog I loved. And we just got along great. We were just great. Okay, so I finally... Oh, we started having trouble with various appliances. The stove shorted out. In fact, shocked the piss out of my girlfriend. Shocked her really badly. Knocked her down. And we turned it off and told him, hey, the stove shorted out. Something wrong inside. You got to get it fixed. And he just never would. That went for a year, probably. He wouldn't fix it. So we had to bring in a countertop stove and cook on that because he wouldn't fix it. A bunch of other stuff went bad. He had a little back storage room in the back right next to the jungle, and the fucking snakes and shit were coming in through cracks in the concrete. And it was only a matter of time before somebody opened the door and then got struck, probably right in the fucking wiener. And I was on him, look, you got to seal this up. Just get some caulking, seal some of these bigger holes, keep the snakes out. He wouldn't do it. So I ended up doing that at my expense. We had we had 3 air conditioners in there. Wasn't a bad little unit. Had 3 air conditioners. And one by one, they all broke. And he got the last one. He replaced the last one. So then we had one working in the living room. He wouldn't fix the other 2. I paid technicians to come out, 3 times I remember, to fix the one in the bedroom. And they tried and tried and tried, and they just said, look, we can't fix it. And so I'd get another tech, and he'd come out, no, we can't fix it. It's got to be replaced. And this German landlord would not do it. He wouldn't do it. He was a well-off guy. Well, his wealth went up and down. It came in streaks. He owned about, I don't know, probably 10 houses, owned a resort. He wasn't hurting. I don't know why he couldn't pay that hospital. I never figured that out. He should have been able to just cash him out. But we finally had enough. We asked him again and again and again and again and again to fix the air cons. We finally ended up with a fan in the living room. We'd have to run the big air conditioner in the living room all night. Set pretty cold. And then we had a big fan trying to direct some cooler air into the bedroom so we could sleep. And he wouldn't fix it. He just wouldn't fix it. He just wouldn't. And we just got more and more frustrated. And finally, that's it. Done. Gave him notice. It turned out that we were paying X amount for that place. We went a couple of miles away and found a gigantic mansion. Fucking 2-story, like a 6-bedroom, beautiful marble pillars in front, big yard, beautiful fucking place for the exact same price. Okay. Anyway, I had given him first and last. I gave him proper notice. I had the place professionally cleaned, like I always do. When we moved in, he had a vinyl sofa there, and it had armrests on each end. And they were all cracked and nasty and shitty, as vinyl always gets. It took years for him to get to that point. Nasty, just cracked and spiderweb cracks, like glass gets. And I had mentioned that to him once or twice, but it was okay. I put doilies over him or whatever. And he just didn't care, whatever. And so we did the final walkthrough. And I'm expecting my deposit back because the place was way cleaner than it was when we moved in. And I'd fixed a bunch of his broken goddamn shit. And he walked around and he said, well, this sofa, these armrests are cracked up. And I said, yeah, they were. We talked about that. They were when we moved in. No, they weren't. This sofa was brand new. Well, it takes years for those armrests to crack like that. Years. And you can't do that through mistreating them. It happens with age because the vinyl is cheap. And in any case, that's called normal wear. And that's not the tenant's responsibility. Yes, it is. No, it's not. You come from a civilized country. You come from Germany. It's not the responsibility in any civilized country. Yes, it is. I said, okay, what's next? What else you got? And there was a lamp on a little end table thing, and it had a wire going from the lamp across the wall in a shallow arc, and it went to a plug-in about 6-7 feet away. And the cord on this thing had collected some dust, and some of that dust had sort of leached over to the wall because the cord was only like 1/8 of an inch from the wall. And some of the dust that had settled on the cord had gone over and settled also on the wall in a line, that went along that cord. And I said, "Oh, look at that." And I said, "Well, okay, yeah, the wall's dirty right there where the cord is. This is your lamp. You put it there. We never moved it. I didn't put it there." And I said, okay, forget it. And I had a handkerchief in my pocket, and I started to wipe off. I just pulled the cord back a few inches, and I started to wipe down the line of the cord, and it just came off. It was just dust. And he says, no, don't do that. We got to paint now. Well, this will have to be painted. And I'm like, no, look, I just wiped 2 feet of it. You can't even tell where it was. What are you talking about painted? And he says, well, it's just fucked up now. We got to paint it. And I said, okay, so you're going to paint this little section of the wall, right? No. We got to paint the whole apartment. We got to paint the whole apartment because that's, we'll never get paint to match that, Okay, so that was, and he just went down the line like that. Every single insane, illogical thing. And I got angrier and angrier and angrier because it was just a scam to keep my money. And it wasn't that much money. This was a rundown little rat trap in a shitty soy. And the rent had been very cheap, and the deposit was only 1 month's rent. And I just thought, what the fuck? If we're in America, we're just going to small claims court. I had a video of the place when we moved in, and I was taking a video as I was going out. We just go to small claims court, and you're going to pay me. But that's Thailand. You don't do that in Thailand. You can't. There's nothing like that. So in the end, he gave me back like 20% of my deposit. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say thank you. I just took it, got on the motorbike, and rode away. About 2 weeks later, he sent somebody over to my new house. They had somehow figured out where we moved to, and asked me if I wanted to come and visit this guy. What the fuck are you talking about? This guy stole my fucking money. Why would I go visit this piece of shit? Oh, okay. And then that was the end of that. I never heard from him again. Oh, I did too see him. I saw him in immigrations, I don't know, a couple of years later. And he tried to be friendly and smiling, and that didn't fly. So I'm talking about landlords, and we're going to talk about landlords at great length. I've got a whole website, huge. I told you it's like 30, 40, 50 pages of, well, this one focuses on one particular bad landlord, rental agency in Thailand, run by Phalangs. These guys are Australian. And that website has hurt them very, very seriously. And I'm going to make sure it continues to hurt them for as long as I can. But renting a room in Thailand, any Southeast Asia country, any of them, all of them, they're all equally fucked. I wish I knew a stronger word. I don't. I could use fancy words, but they don't have the same punch as fucked. They're going to steal from you pretty much every time. And what I learned was, here's the thing that I learned out of all this. I had a little tiny bit of trouble with Thai landlords. Very, 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 very little. Everybody screams about the Thai landlords. I don't know, for whatever reason, I had almost no trouble with them. All of the trouble I had, and it was all big trouble, was from phalangs, from whatever country. Phalangs. The phalang businesses in Thailand, on all these countries, they're far more dishonest and scammy than the people of those nations. Jesus Christ. So anyway, we moved out of that place and went on to the next adventure. By this time I had a girlfriend, Pisad, fucking Pisad. The Thai word for devil is Pisad, so it'd be like P-E-S-A-D, Pisad, Pisad. That's the direct translation to devil, Satan. So we will talk at her at some considerable length, because you're going to get one too. It's going to be Thailand's gift to you. Oh yeah. And you need to be aware just how nasty they can be. Now, in this particular case, she loved me. And here I'm going to say a really terrible, illogical thing. I loved her. Still do. Pisad, I loved Pisad. And I'll tell you some of the shit that she pulled. Don't know why. I don't know why I loved her. I don't know. I have no clue. Okay, so we're going to wrap this thing up. I have shitloads of notes here. I didn't even cover 10% of them. We covered various nationalities. What other nationalities are there? Really hardly any. Occasionally we would see guys from Africa show up, and they'd be in essentially grass skirts carrying spears. I don't know how the fuck they got them on the airplane. Maybe they're like, collapsible spears they can go in the check bags. I don't know. They just walk around like, oh, look at that, look at that. You would see any and every kind of every person there, just anything you could possibly imagine. And that was fascinating to me, because I would just sit there and clickety, 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 take a picture. God, that was, I told you I've got 107,000 pictures that I haven't even sorted yet. They're in Lightroom, and they're in folders I haven't even gotten to. So, okay, so we're done with nationalities, right? Oh, Americans. How many Americans? Very, very few. Very, very few. I think I knew maybe 3. Maybe 3. Maybe 4. Maybe I forgot one. Maybe there was 4. Hardly any. Because it's just a long goddamn way from the U.S. It's a long fucking trip. It's a long trip. To Thailand, Jesus goddamn Christ. When they had a direct flight, it was like 13 and a half hours. Now you got to hop. So that's going to bump it up to probably 20 hours by the time it's all said and done. That's a horrific fucking trip. So the guys from the U.S. just don't go there all that much. They go to the Philippines. It's easier. It's closer. They got directs to the Philippines from almost anywhere in the U.S. Canadians, God, I knew like 1 or 2. Chinese. Okay, I'll just make a note. Okay, we'll look at Chinese in the next one. Oh, I got Chinese stories. Oh, God. Okay. So, there we go. We're done. Thank you very much. There we go. Oh, yeah, we're doing okay, but I'm tired. Thank you very much, and good evening. End. Sausty Crab.